If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Today's guest is Thompson. Christine's got extensive experience working with horses, including roles in Australia and the UK as Sports Development Officer for an equestrian organisation. She's been a riding coach, equine instructor, assessor. She's an equine course manager at university level, education officer for the RSPCA. She's owned horses for many years and understands the requirement of multiple disciplines within the equestrian sport, the fitness and training schedules, and the importance of maintaining horses' peak physical and mental condition, whether you're riding for pleasure or at an elite level. Christine's qualifications: she's got a Bachelor in Honours in Equine Science. She's postgraduate certificate in Equine Science. She's equinology equine body worker. She's also a certified equitate practitioner. She's a member of the Equine Therapies Association of Australia. She has a BHS AI, Cert 4 in Workplace Training and Assessment, and certificate in photonic red light therapy, which was in progress. We might talk about that as well, and whole body relaxation massage. That's, real specialist field I think you've got there, Christine, haven't you, with Equine Muscle Matters is your business. How are you anyway?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. It's been a long journey to get to where I am, and lots of different qualifications and learnings along the way.
Yeah.
So really enjoying where I am now and what I'm doing.
Now, this equinology equine body worker, is that how you pronounce it, equinology?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Just tell us quickly about that as well. I hadn't heard of that one.
So it's primarily, they're now an international company. Started off in America, I believe. So I did my training with them in the UK shortly after I left university. So it's essentially an equine sports massage course.
Yep.
Very intensive, 9 days of on-hand training with horses, plus homework in the evening, pre-course reading, and then lots of case studies afterwards that you needed to submit. So
yep.
It was a really good course, lots of anatomy and massage techniques. So it was a really good starting point for my massage career.
Good. Now, Christine, just tell us about your favourite quote. What is your favourite quote, and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so my favourite quote is, to succeed you must first improve, to improve you must first practice, to practice you must first learn, and to learn you must first fail. And then somebody I know also added in, to fail you must first try. And it's probably one of my favourite quotes just because, I think it goes for everybody. I know I can be a little bit of a perfectionist and hold off trying anything until I perfect it, but do you know what? We're never going to perfect anything unless we actually get out there and do it.
That's right. And sometimes just giving it a try and failing a few times. When we all start riding, none of us are brilliant. None of us. We all start. We've still got to learn to rise to the trot and do quite a few basics like that. So you shouldn't be looking around at all the good riders. You should just go, right, well, they were when I am, that once they were where I am now, and they've continued to improve, so I can continue to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I don't even think of it now as failing. It's just every time you learn something new. So, every horse you ride teaches you something new.
Yep.
Every horse that I see as a massage therapist teaches me something new. So, it's, forever an ongoing process of learning and improving.
Yeah. Christine, tell me about your very first memories with horses. Have you got a particular day that you remember where you met a horse, or the first time you rode, or anything like that?
So So one of my very early memories, so I wasn't one of the kids that started riding, as soon as they could walk. I was probably about 7 or 8, I think, when I really first started horse riding. I learned to ride at a local riding school, and one of my first memories is probably of a horse called Dandy, who was quite a character, and to get him to go faster, you had to blow raspberries. So riding around blowing raspberries to get this horse to go faster than he was going.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. And people that don't understand horses, don't have horses. They just drive past or walk past and go, I don't understand that girl. She blows raspberries all the time. They wouldn't understand why you were doing it. As a horse person, I completely understand. Yeah.
It was all good unless you were also in the arena with the horse that was scared of people blowing raspberries. that could cause issues.
Oh, okay. Now, this career you've got with horses, it's a little bit different, which is great because I think that the horse industry is expanding into lots of different areas, lots of different careers and different career paths. Were you always going to work with horses? Were you always, because you went to uni, but you went to uni and did equine science and then you did some post-grad work as well. So all related to horses and getting a job within the industry. Was that always going to be, or did you have a particular time that you said, no, I'm going to work with horses?
It was probably always going to be working with horses. I remember when I was much younger, I wanted to be in the mounted police, and then I wanted to be a vet. And then from the age of about 14 or 15, I knew that it was my aim to go to university, study something to do with horses and make that a career. So at that stage, I started training for the British Horse Society exams. So as soon as I was old enough, started taking those exams, then went through the coaching exams with the British Horse Society. So I had that as something that I did before and during university.
I think that, you're saying about coaching qualifications, but as a massage therapist, just having that bit of credibility behind you, I'm sure would be good. That you can not just be looking at it from a massage therapist point of view, but you can also be looking at it from an instructor point of view and I think get a better idea of what's required. Do you agree with that? Do you think it has complemented you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of the time people will have problems that are happening while they're riding. So it's really good to have that background and be able to look at the horse and understand what's going on with the horse and the rider, because obviously the rider influences a lot with the horse as well. And that's part of the reason why I then recently did the human massage courses, because I really want to help the horses and the riders. And then more recently, I've really become far more interested in equine biomechanics. And again, the coaching background is really benefiting me there. So looking at the horses and having that background, but now having a real eye on the biomechanics of the horse and the rider, and being able to coach the rider in what to do to improve the horse's way of going from a biomechanics and therapist point of view.
Yes. And I like the way you study the whole of the horse, not just one area, but the whole and how everything's related to each other. Yep.
Absolutely, and everything is related. And, I work with lots of other experts in their field, and, it is the whole horse. I can't work on a horse unless they've also got a good farrier working on the horse, or the horse has got good nutrition and, the saddle fits correctly. And while I know enough about all of those to be able to guide people, I'm not an expert in farriery or saddle fitting, so I can then direct people to where they need to go to get those things looked at as well.
Yeah. So talking about other experts and people working with horses, what do you think, because there are, as we said, quite a few different areas where you can work with horses, but what do you think are the core skills or the character traits that someone needs to start that horse career journey?
I think anybody that wants to work in horses, whatever part of the equine industry they want to work in, being a hard worker, being determined to succeed is really important. Let's face it, it's not an easy career working with horses. Probably slightly easier over here in Australia than in England, getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in the middle of winter when it's freezing cold or raining.
Yes.
At least you have the sunshine. So they're really important to me. You always need a sense of humour with horses. Things go wrong and you have to be able to laugh it off. You definitely need patience. And, one of my biggest values is integrity. So, always doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. And, I think that's really important value to have generally, but, really important with horses, that you're always putting the horse first and, they're always number one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. What do you think is the best thing about working in the horse industry and working with horses?
Obviously, I think we all go into the industry because we love horses and we love working with them. And every horse I meet is different and they have such different personalities. But the people are what make the industry as well. And all of my closest friends are people that I've met through the equine industry. They will be lifelong friends. We all have the same values, the same goals, and everyone is just so passionate about the sport or the parts of the industry that they're in. So yes, the horses are great, but the people are also absolutely fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about people who've influenced you and been pivotal in your career, help you make decisions, who've influenced you and helped you and guided you along the way? Anyone you'd like to mention?
Yeah, obviously there's lots of people. As you know, I've had quite a varied career, so there's been people that have influenced all of those different pathways throughout my career. But I guess my biggest influence was my very first riding coach. So she was my coach from the time I was 7 or 8 through till I was probably in my mid-20s and finally moved away from the town that I grew up in. She was the person that taught me everything that I knew about horses initially. She lent me one of her horses to go out competing, and she took me out competing pretty much every weekend during the summer. Let's face it, I probably wouldn't be in the industry if it wasn't for her passion and knowledge for the sport is what really drove me to want to learn more, and she always pushed me to improve myself. She was the one that really pushed me to then follow the equine pathway into university and always ask questions. My parents as well. My parents aren't horsey people. They've probably only recently really even handled horses since I've had the horses at my house. Before that, they've always been very supportive, taking me wherever I needed to go, done whatever they needed to do to enable me to go out competing and keep the horses. But especially growing up in the UK, the majority of horses and all of my horses were either kept at agistments or wherever I was working. So, but you can't do without your parents, can you?
Yeah. What I like about this is, you talked about your first riding instructor, how they were, passionate and involved in the industry and how they influenced you, because I think that, and this is to the listeners who might be thinking, well, I'm not going to go on and become an international superstar. But even as a riding instructor, you're still there in like a mentor type position where you really can influence a lot of people. And, if you've got that passion for the industry and you can help people, you never know, that little sort of kid that you're teaching how to go around and hold the reins and getting ready for their first canter and things like that. You never know where they're going to go and what influence you're going to be on them. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's always really special when somebody says that you made a big difference for them, or they still remember you. I know on Facebook, probably only about a week ago, somebody from the UK actually commented on one of my posts and said, you were my daughter's first riding instructor and she still remembers you and talks about you, and that was 20 years ago that you taught her to ride.
Wow, that's good, isn't it?
Still really old, but...
Yeah. What about horses there, Christine? Have there been any particular horses or a particular horse that you think's influenced you more than others?
I mean, look, probably like most therapists that I know, we come into the industry because of certain horses having, problems or issues, and every horse teaches us something a little bit different. But yeah, I've had a couple of really special horses. Gwillem, who was my first real pony, he was quite a character. He taught me a huge amount. So I did all the different sports on him. I showed him. I evented, 100 trials over in the UK, jumping, polo cross. So we went out and we did absolutely everything. And he wasn't always the best. He was a pony that was absolutely fine as long as he was with other horses, but would not go a nose in front of another horse. So you're never going to win anything if it involved racing, because, couldn't possibly go that nose in front to beat someone else to the finish line. But, he was very quirky. We spent quite a lot of time going backwards if he didn't want to do something. So he taught me a lot of patience. And then another horse that I had, who was probably one of the first horses that really got me into the sort of the rehabilitation side of things. And his name was Remalan, an ex-pointer. So I had a lot of fun with him. He was very different, big, thoroughbred, chunky. Certainly had a good gallop on him. Remember, taking him down the beach, and you'd really feel him change gear when you allowed him to take that open space. And I suppose I should mention my current horse because she's perfect.
Okay. What's her name?
Dolly.
Okay.
Yeah, she is an off the track though.
Okay. Thinking about the career that you've had and still have, what do you think has been your proudest moment within that career?
Every time I manage to get a horse to a point where they're able to be ridden or do whatever it is that the owner wants them to do is a really proud moment for me. As a therapist, you quite often see horses where they've had injuries, not sure if the horse will ever be ridden again or compete to the level that the owner wanted to compete at. So that's always absolutely fantastic. Some of my proudest moments within my whole sporting career are probably when I was a bit younger. I was part of a vaulting team and also competed individually in the pas de deux. So we're actually quite successful as a team, crowned national champions in the UK for a few years running, and had quite good success with that individually and as a pas de deux as well. So that's really special because you work really closely with the other people in the team. It's not just you going out on your horse. There was 8 of us in the team and up to 3 of us actually on the horse at any one time. So had to be really close and really trust each other, and to then have success and obviously trust the horse as well. So so they were some really special moments from my competitive career.
Wait, can you hear anything? No? That's because we're waiting for someone with a good quality horse product to be advertised here. If that's you, then contact us, horsechats@horsechats.com, and we'll send you the details. Thanks. Yeah, because, you normally think that everything you do with horses is a team, so it's a team competition because it's you and your horse. But when you've got, the vaulter, the lunger, plus everyone that's, the vaulting horse, the lunger, plus the 3 people or, whoever are all working together, it really is teamwork, isn't it? Yeah,
it really is. And, you can't actually perform unless you really trust everybody else in the team. And, the lunger has to know your routine down pat so that she can ensure that the horse is keeping an even rhythm when you're dismounting or doing a flip or lifting somebody up above your head, whatever it is that you're doing. The flyer, who is generally the smaller person that gets thrown around a little bit up in the air, they have to really trust the people that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is true teamwork.
Sure. Good. What do you think's been your biggest challenge? Is there still a challenge? Because it's a career that's a bit different. It's a treatment that's a bit different. I'm just thinking, like, go back 100 years and everyone would have laughed at you, but it's a lot more widely accepted now. Have you had challenges within the career that you've got with people not accepting, or has there been another challenge that you've got to talk, you'd like to talk about?
Oh, look, I mean, you always get people that, not necessarily that don't accept what I do, but that don't feel that it's an important part of their horse's care. And there are so many different complementary therapies out there that everybody has their opinion about which one is the better or the most effective. And it really can vary from horse to horse. So, I guess I kind of take that with a bit of a pinch of salt now. If somebody says no, massage is just airy-fairy, touching the horse. My horse needs to see a X, Y, or Z. So that's fine. I have a base of really good clients who are really dedicated to doing the exercises and the things I ask them to do in between when I see the horse, and they've really seen good results from that. So that's really good. I guess I don't have any major challenges other than fitting everything in, which I think is common.
Yes, a time thing.
Yes. We all take on so much, and it's always harder in winter with the slightly shorter days. That's the way it is. I try and fit everything in. I'm not really a morning person, so that's probably my biggest challenge, getting out of bed, ride the horse first thing in the morning before I start work.
Okay. Christine, you see a lot of people and the way they care for their horse. Is there like a common theme across the horses that you see that you'd like to educate people how to care for their horse a bit different, a fault that they might be doing, or just something that they could improve on?
I get it really does vary from horse to horse. Every horse has different conformation, which changes how they're moving and some of the bodywork issues that we come across. But really, it's that routine care. So, make sure you have routine bodywork. Prevention is better than cure. It's far easier for a therapist to come and see your horse every 8 weeks and say, oh, your horse has actually just got a bit of a decreased range of motion here, or is a little bit sore here, and to try and sort that problem out at that point, rather than waiting until your horse is really sore and showing a lameness or some sort of behavioural issue. Horses are, as we all know, experts at masking how they're feeling, and so a lot of the time they don't actually show any signs of pain until it's really sore. So, that routine body work is really important. And for the riders as well, lots of riders are very good at taking care of their horses, not so good at taking care of themselves.
Yes.
So, as a rider, you have a really big influence on your horse, and if you're slightly crooked in your body, then you're going to be putting extra weight on one side of the horse's body, and you could be actually causing some of those sore spots on your horse. So, make sure that you treat your body as well as you treat your horses.
Okay. It's certainly something to think about. You do. We look after the horses and get their diets right and make sure that, they've got the best bedding and everything else. But we've really got to look after ourselves as well.
Yeah, and then we stop off at McDonald's on the way home.
Yes.
If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now. Have a look. horsechats.com.
What about books? Have you got a book that you'd like to recommend for our listeners just to complement their training, to complement their education?
Yeah, I mean, look, really any anatomy book is absolutely fantastic. There's lots of different ones out there. Some of the Horses Inside Out books are really easy to understand and really give a good understanding of that. And I think it's really important as riders to have a basic understanding of how your horse's body functions so that you know why you're training your horse in a certain way and the impact it can have. And one of my all-time favourite books is an autobiography. It's actually Pippa Funnell's autobiography, so it's a few years old now. But I really loved that book, and it's really stuck with me over the years because reading it, I was amazed at how many setbacks she actually had. The fact that she almost actually left the sport, but managed to overcome them and had great success as an eventer.
Yeah. Do you remember what it's called?
I think it could just be called something like Pippa Funnell Autobiography.
Okay, that's easy.
Right. Very easy title, I think.
Yes,
but it's a few years old.
Okay.
But she talked a lot about sports psychology and that side of things, which at the time wasn't really very common.
Yes.
It's a lot more common for athletes or for horse riders, I guess, to consider themselves athletes now and go and see a sports psychologist or sports trainer and all of those things. So so for me, it really resonated with me that somebody who had achieved such fantastic results as an eventer had really struggled with herself and her confidence, and so pretty much had decided to leave the sport, and then decided, no, I'm going to keep going, and cracked it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And remember, you can find all the books recommended by our guests at horsechats.com/books. You can have a look at the guest page for the individual book they recommended, or just look at the recommended books by order of popularity at horsechats.com/books. What are you looking forward to at the moment?
I'm really enjoying at the moment growing the biomechanics coaching side of things.
Yep.
So, I really see value in that. For me, it's a really big part of equine bodywork, and essentially, as a therapist, I see the horse every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, whatever that horse's routine is. But everything that the rider is doing in between has the biggest influence on the horse. So, from a biomechanics side point of view, I'm really enjoying actually being able to coach those riders with how to improve their horse's way of going and seeing how that's then improving what I'm seeing a month later in terms of how the horse's muscles are responding to that.
Yep, good.
So for me, that's a really exciting pathway that I'm looking forward to growing even more.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, now, just in a few sentences, can you summarise your philosophy with horses?
Oh, gosh, that's a tricky one. I mean, really, it's all about self-care or, care of yourself, care of the horse. Think about everything as a whole. We can't just isolate those little things, so you can't just think about nutrition and ignore everything else, or have a wonderful saddle but then the horse's feet haven't been trimmed for a while. So really think about that whole picture. Make sure you've got a really supportive team around you. Just really take care of yourself, take care of your horse, and that's really important for me. Don't forget yourself as well. Self-care. We talk about massage and things like that, but also just taking time out. Working with horses can be such a hectic job. We spend all day working to earn the money to keep our own horses, and then doing stuff with our horses in the evenings and the weekends, and we all enjoy it, but sometimes you just need a little bit of time out as well. So whatever it is that you need to do to, whether it's just going to the beach or, watching a movie, don't feel guilty for doing that rather than mucking out a stable.
Okay. Christine, how can people contact you? What's the best way?
I've got a website, so equinemusclematters.com.au.
Yes.
Email address is info@equinemusclematters.com.au, and I've also got Facebook and Instagram pages, both called Equine Muscle Matters. So, they can contact me through any of those. Facebook generally is, I guess, a medium that lots of people use, and I try and post lots of things up on there that hopefully are helpful to people.
Good. And Christine, we'll have those details on horsechats.com/Christine Thompson, or go to horsechats.com, search for Christine or search for Thompson. Christine, thank you very much for talking to us today. Lots of information that we're sort of not really hearing. We have a broad variety of people, and I think everyone's got a message that's just a little bit different, because I think there's so much to learn about horses. It really doesn't hurt to just learn a bit from everyone, so I'm sure our listeners would have got something out of what you've been talking about today.
Thank you. I hope so. As you said, I think everybody can teach somebody something, so hopefully somebody listening has found something that I've said useful.
Okay, and hopefully we'll see you again soon, Christine, with something a little bit, sort of rather than just a broad overview, but something a little bit more detailed. So thanks for coming today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com, and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.